Yahoo family, it's the General. And tonight we're going to deal with this book. I say that for later. Let's deal with this book. Ever since the resurgence of the Hebrew Israelites, there's been this uncontrollable urge to make this guy King James. Now, while I have no clue who this guy is, this guy is King James. And if you knew anything about him, you wouldn't want to be connected to him. Mary Queen of Scots, who was the mother of King James VI, spent 21 years in captivity after a failed attempt to cut the head off of her second cousin, Queen Elizabeth I. In the spirit of fairness, Queen Elizabeth decided to return the favor and have her second cousin beheaded. Clearly not thinking this out, seeing as how there was no heir to the throne, so that left a 1-year-old King James, the new King of England. In order for us to really understand what we're dealing with, I think it's only fair that we should provide some background on the queen that preceded the young king. The slave trading initiatives endorsed by the English monarchy began with Queen Elizabeth I's enthusiastic support of John Hawkins' slave expedition in the 1560s. After his profitable second voyage, the Queen honored Hawkins with a coat of arms and crest featuring a nude African bound with rope. Taking the throne because your cousin beheaded your mother would probably have a long-lasting effect on anybody. The young King James was no different. At the age of 13, he fell madly in love with his 37-year-old uncle, which is a little weird. He showered him with gifts and made him the Duke of Lennox. His sexuality was so widely known that people openly called him Queen James. They also said he killed a couple of his lovers, but whatever. This part was a little strange, though. Another one of his cousins, George Villiers, rose from cupbearer to gentleman of the bedchamber and ultimately to Earl of Buckingham. Yes, he made him Earl. In part one, we briefly discussed the relationship between Jesus and John, the one he loved. And so let's hear what King James had to say about it. I love the Earl of Buckingham more than anyone else, James announced to his counselors, and more than you who are assembled. He compared his love for the Earl to Jesus' affection for the beloved disciple John. Jesus Christ did the same, the king said, and therefore I cannot be blamed. Christ had his John, and I have my George. And he even made a little cute passage connecting the two of their bedrooms. All right, family, now it's time to get to the good part. So we all know the King James Version came out in 1611. And we also been told that the slaves arrived in the Americas in 1619 in a place called Jamestown, which was in fact named after King James. And we also know that the only education that was initially allowed to the slaves was religious education, which would have been coming from the King James Bible. Now wait till you see what these Christian slaveholders used the Bible for. Now, after miraculously saving humanity on an extremely small boat, Noah decides to get drunk, get completely naked, and pass out. Somehow this turns into cursing his grandson, who wasn't even there at the time, and damning the African race to be enslaved by the Middle East and by Europe. Not sure why God went along with that. Okay, so it's a well-known fact that before his involvement with the Bible, King James wrote a book called Demonology. And since most people never read it, I decided to look into it. Now, apparently, the book is about werewolves, vampires, and witches. And judging by whatever this thing is right here, they were pretty serious about this stuff. Which would explain why Europe spent over 300 plus years hunting down witches. But we know from my Bewitched video, when they talk about these guys, they really mean these guys. But hey, even Netflix knows that.